So that way, if anybody doesn't show up today or they show up late, they can always go to the recording to see what they missed out on. So most of you are returning the quiz, and there should be a grade for the quiz. So the way I graded the quiz, pretty much each part was worth 1 point. So the definition of statistic was worth 1 point, pretty much. And then if you look at it, it had like 4 different parts. So each one of those were worth a point. So if you got all of them right, I gave you the full 100% grade. If you miss one of those points, or if you miss one of those parts, so say if you missed the definition of statistic, pretty much that means you got 4 out of 5 because you got the other 4 right, and pretty much you only got the definition of statistic incorrect. So you do want to go over it. I also uploaded the quiz solution. So you do want to check out the quiz solution if you didn't get a full mark. So that way you can see what you did wrong. And also for the activity I still haven't graded all of them. So for activity number, what was that? I think number 2, I graded some of them. So if you're seeing a 0 in activity number 2, don't be worried because I haven't graded all of the activity. But for the quiz, I did grade all of the quizzes. So you do kind of want to check out the answer for the quiz just to make sure that you're understanding it. Because the one problem that most students had issue with was the one about how many ounces. Here, let me put it up.
So if it says 1 out of 1, you got it correct, right?
Correct. Correct. If it says 1 out of 1, that means you got 100%. So here, let me show you this.
Where can we find the solutions for quiz 1?
Here, I'll show you right now. Oh. Let's go right here. Sweet. So if you go over here where it says content, so you want to hit content, and then you scroll all the way down here. It has quiz solution. And then you click on quiz solution number 1. Go. All right, and those are the solutions. So if you look at 2A and 2B, both of them were nominal. And if you look at 2C and if you look at 2D, both of them were continuous. Because for this one, it says Pepsi bottle in fluid ounces. But for fluid ounces, it could be in between these values. So like from 11 to 12, it could be 11.1 or 11.3 or 11.9. So for both of the C and D, it was supposed to be continuous. A and B, they're nominal because they don't have an order. And then right here, the definition of statistic, yes, pretty much the definition of statistic that I gave you in the first day of class. All right. So that was it for the quiz. So yeah, so for the quiz, for each part that you missed, you essentially get 1 point deducted. So it's out of 5. So if you got all 5 of them correct, you got 5 out of 5. If you got one of them wrong, it will be 4 out of 5, which is 0.8. If you got 2 of them wrong, that will be 3 out of 5, which is 0.6. If you got 3 of them wrong, you get 2 out of 3, or 2 out of 5, which is 0.4, so on and so forth. But yeah, to find the your solution for the quiz, you'd have to go here. So for quiz number 2, I'll put the solution here after the due date. But any question in regards to quiz number 1?
No, but I just have a question on where you find the activity solutions.
Okay, so you go to content. And right above these activity, you go to activity. And you go activity to solution. And there goes the solution for activity number 2. And same thing for the activity. You do kind of want to look at the solution to make sure that you're doing everything right. Because the way I'm grading the activity, pretty much I'm seeing if you're doing them or if you're not doing them. If you turn in the activity, I'm going to give you full credit. If you don't turn in the activity, I'm not going to give you any credit. So I'm not actually like grading them. I'm just saying if you're actually participating. Any other question before we get started with today's lecture?
Yes. If we have a question about one of the homework questions, would we ask that in this lecture or in the SI group?
Well, you'll ask because I'm gonna do homework question at the end.
Okay.
I kind of want to see. I kind of want to be able to finish all of the lecture, so that way we won't get behind with the lecture. But yeah, if we have time at the end, I'll go over it. But also know for today I have office hour, so if I don't have time during the lecture from 10 to 11:30, I also have office hour or pretty much right after, so I can just answer it at that time.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other question before we move on to day? Any questions before we move on to day 3 notes? All right. So today you are gonna need class calc. So if you downloaded the app, that's great because you can use it from the app. Okay, you do kind of want to get practice with it because for class calc, it's pretty simple calculator to use, but you do need to practice on it so that way day of the test or day of the quiz, you know exactly like which button to push and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go over to the day 3 notes. All right, so like I said in the beginning, for activity 2, I still haven't finished doing the grading. I did some grading, but I haven't finished all of the grading. For quiz 1, I finished all of the grading. So for that one, if you got a 0 or anything like that, that's when you should be worried. But for activity number 2, I still haven't finished all of the grading. So I should be finished by the end of today. So by the end of today, if you haven't gotten any grade in regard to activity number 2, then you should email me. So just give me till the end of the day and I should have it graded by today. All right. So let's go into day 3 notes. So for day 3 notes, we're going to start focusing on the measure of central tendency. So when we talk about central tendency, is a value that represents a typical or the central entry of the data set. So the most common measure of central tendency. So the central tendency is just measuring like what normally happen or the most typical value that could occur. You could kind of think about it when you ever hear like the word average. The average is telling you like this is the number that kind of repeat the most, but it's not necessarily that everybody's gonna be average because there are gonna be some people or some object that are above average or below average. But that's what the central tendency is telling you, like what more likely to occur. So for today, we're going to focus on 3 central tendency, and the 3 are these 3. So it could be the mean, medium, and the mode. So those are going to be the 3 central tendency we're going to be focusing on today. So let's go ahead and let's just introduce the mean. All right. So for the mean of a set of quantitative, so for the mean, it always has to be numerical value. We're never going to find the mean of categorical value because it wouldn't make any sense. So for this one, it's the sum of the measurement contained in the data divided by the number of measurement contained in the data. So let's go over this formula. So let's focus on this one. All right. So whenever you have an X value, that represents the data. So whenever we have the X value, it represents the data. Because if you kind of remember the definition of, well, if you we have a definition called variable, and that's what X is. So X represents all the data set. And then what we have this symbol right here, which means to sum. So if you look at it, the top portion is saying sum data. So that means we have to add up all the data. Once you add up all the data, what you have to do is divide by n. And if you remember, n is our sample size. So in order to find the mean, all we have to do is add up all the data set. Once you add up all the data set, you just divide it by how big of a sample size we get. Any questions so far in regard to that?
So you add up the data, not the sum, or you add up both?
Well, add and sum is the same thing. So pretty much we're gonna sum the data set, which is the same thing as saying we're gonna add the data set.
Okay.
All right. Sweet. All right, so that's how we're gonna find the mean. So the thing is, there are two different means. And the two different means just symbolize if we have a sample or if we have the entire population. So when we use the notation X bar is for a sample mean. If I use the notation mu, which is this one, this is mu. This is a population mean. So depending on our data set, if I have the entire population, you're going to use the symbol mu. But if you only have a sample of the data set, you're going to use the symbol X bar. So that's the mean. Any question in regard to the mean? All right. All right. Up next, we're going to go over median. So in order to find the median is just going to be the middle number. So it's going to be the middle number after we actually organize our data sets. So before we find the middle number, we have to put the data set from lowest to highest. So it doesn't really make sense to find the median of a data set if the data set is not organized. So you always want to first organize the data set from lowest to highest. Once you organize it from lowest to highest, you're going to find the middle number. So there are going to be two different occasions for the median depending on our sample size. So let's go over this one. So for this one, it said n is odd. So if n is odd, that means n could be 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, any of those. So anytime we have an odd amount of number, you're always going to have one number in the middle, and that will be our median. Whenever we have n, which is even, you're always going to have two numbers in the middle. And when you have two numbers in the middle, what you do, you take the average of those two numbers. So in order to find the median, there are going to be two different scenarios. If n is odd, you're going to have one number in the middle. But if n is even, you're going to have two numbers in the middle, and you take the average of those two numbers. So in case you don't know what's an even number is 2, oops, not 5, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, dot, 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 dot. So that's how you find the median. The median is just the middle number, and depending on your sample size, if it's odd, you're gonna have one number in the middle. If it's even, you're gonna have two numbers in the middle. And then we'll just find the average of those two numbers. Right. Any question in regard to the median? Right. And let's do the last one. So the last one is the mode. So the mode is kind of the easiest one. This is just the number that repeat the most often. So if you have numbers that are repeating, and if you have one number that repeat like 5 times, or other number that repeat 3 times, well, the number that repeat 5 times will be my mode because that's the one that repeat the most often. But also you can have multiple modes. So say we have one number that repeats 5 times, and we have another number that repeats 5 times. Both of those will be my mode because both of them repeat 5 times. And lastly, if we have no number that repeat, so if we have no number that repeat, essentially you say you have no mode because you have no number that repeats the most often. And that's your definition for mode. Any question for mode? All right, so let's do an example. So in this example, we're gonna find all 3 of these. So for this one says the price in dollar for a sample of round trip flight from Chicago, Illinois to Cancun, Mexico are listed. So we want to find the mean, the median, and the mode. All right. So let's go ahead and let's do the easiest one first. Let's do the mode. So for the mode, do we have any number that repeat?
397.
Yeah, 397. Do I have any other number that repeat? No. So since 397 repeat 2 and everything else repeat only 1 time, 397 will be my mode. Okay. And that's your mode. Any question on how we found the mode? Let's do the mean. So for the mean, if you remember the definition or the formula for the mean, what it said, you have to add up all the data and divide it by how many data we have. So let's go ahead and add the data. So we go 872 plus 432 plus 397 plus 427 plus 388 plus 782 plus 397. And what we're gonna do next is divide it by however many numbers we have. So if you look at it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers. So we divide it by 7. Everybody good so far on why we're adding the top number and then dividing it by 7? Okay, so let me go ahead and add this. Or here, let's use ClassCalc to add it. So that way you can kind of get a little introduction to it. All right, so if you look right here, ClassCalc has all the options. So you could go A72 plus 432 plus 397 plus and you go 388 plus 782 plus and 390. Oh, all right. So if you add them all up together, you get 3,695 divided by 7. All right. Everybody good on 3,695? Okay, so now I'm going to go to the second space, and now we're going to put 3,695. Let me use the key bar. So you divide this by 7. And if you look at the answer that it gave me 527.86. So your final answer for this mean will be 527.86 cents. And that's it for that mean. Any question how we found the mean?
No.
Alrighty, thanks. So up next, we're going to go ahead and do the median. So for the median, remember, you have to first put them in order, and then you find the middle number. So let's put them in order. All right, so if you look at first, you want to find the lowest number. So for the lowest number in this case scenario will be, what, 388. There you go, 388. So let me put right here that I got it. So the next number should be 397. We have 2 of them, so 397, 397. Then it should be 427. And then you get 432. Then you get 782. And lastly, you get 872. All right, so first you put them in order. And like one kind of habit that you should have, count the number when you start it and then count the number when you organize it. Because that's kind of going to tell you if you're missing any number. Because if you start off with 7 number like we did here and I ended up with 6 number, then I kind of know I'm missing 1 number. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 number. So we have all 7 of these numbers. All right, so let's go ahead and find the median. So for the median, all you have to do is essentially just cross out number. If I cross out 1 number to the left, you cross out 1 number to the right. And you keep on going until you get either 1 number in the middle or you get 2 number in the middle. So you cross out 388, you cross out 872, you cross out 392, well, 97, sorry, and you cross out 782. You cross out 397, you cross out 432, and your medium is 427. So say medium is 427. And we're done. So that's your mode, that's your medium, and that's your mean. Any question for how I got any of those 3? All right, so the last thing we're gonna do before we move on to the next slide is for the mean, we're gonna label the mean. So for the mean, is this a sample or is this the entire population? So did I get every flight that go from Chicago to Cancun, or is this just a sample?
Sample.
Yeah, if you actually read the problem, it's a sample. So since this is a sample, when we find the mean, we want to say X bar is equal to 527.86. Yeah. And that's it. So let's go on to the next one. All right. And also, if you kind of notice for this one, since we had an odd amount of data set, because since we only have 7, there was 1 number in the middle. So what we're going to do now, we're going to change that up a bit. So for this next problem, it says the price in dollar for a sample of round trip flight from Chicago, Illinois to Cancun, Mexico are listed. So it said the flight price of 432 no longer available. What is the median price of the remaining flight? So saying this flight is no longer available to us. So now what we have these 6 numbers. So the first thing we're gonna go ahead and do is just organize these 6 numbers. So we go 388, 397, 397, 427, 782, and then you get 872. Cool. So if you look at now, instead of having 7 number or 7 sample, now we only have 6 samples. So since we only have 6 sample, you should kind of already know that what's gonna happen, we're gonna have 2 numbers in the middle because this is an even amount of data set. So let's go ahead and cross them out. So if I cross out 388, you cross out 872, cross out 397, cross out 782. So that means we have these 2 numbers in the middle. So since I have 2 numbers in the middle, in order for me to find the median, what we have to do, we have to get 397 added to 427 and divide that by 2. Any question why we're adding the 2 numbers and dividing it by 2? All right. So let me show you how to do this with ClassCalc. For this one, it's actually easier if you put the division sign first, because then if you look at it, now you have the top and the bottom. So you can just say 397 plus 427, and then you divide it by 2, and you get 412. And that's it for that data set. Any question on how I found the median for this one? All right, so let's go back to the notes. Yeah, so if you remember, that's why I want you to use CAM scanner or Adobe scanner, because that way you can take a picture of multiple paper and it will upload as one PDF file. So you do want to either get a CAM scanner or get Adobe scanner. So that way you could take pretty much picture of both of the pages and then upload it as one singular PDF file. All right. So let's go back and let's look at the mean, median, and mode. And let's kind of like talk about what is it telling us, what it is. So if you look at the mean is telling you this is the average price. So it is telling you like on average, this is how much it's gonna cost. So it's saying on average, it should cost somewhere between $527 and 86 cents. But the thing is, if you look at the prices, none of the prices there is $527.86 because this is the average. So there could be prices that are above this or below this, but pretty much what the mean is telling you, the meaning is telling you on average, this is how much it should cost. So it's saying on average, it should cost $527.86. What the median is trying to do, the median is trying to divide the data set into pretty much 2 data sets. So trying to break up the data set where half of the data set go to the left, the other half go to the right. So if you look at our median is 527. So that means here is 427, not 527. So there you go, 427. So what the median is trying to do, it's trying to evenly break it up into 2 different groups. So that way we can have 50% of the data set to the left 50% of the data set to the right. So if you look at how many numbers are here, how many numbers are over here to the left? Oh, four.
4,
How many numbers are over here to the right?
3,
Good. So if you look at it, you have 4 to the left, 3 to the left. So it's trying to break up the data set evenly. Unfortunately for this one, it can't really break it up evenly because you have an odd amount of data set. But let's look what happened on the next problem when we only have an even amount of data set. So we found the median is 412. 412 goes over here in the middle. So now if I look at how many data sets are to the left, you get 3. If you look at how many data sets are to the right, you get 3. So usually if you have an even amount of data set, the median break it up evenly into 2 different groups. And when you have an odd amount, because of the odd amount of data set, it usually doesn't break it up 50-50, but it should be close to 50-50. All right. Everybody good for this last example?
Yeah.
Cool, thank you. All right, so let's scroll down. So let's do this one. So it says find the mode, median, and mean age of the resident of a small town. The data are given below. Sweet. All right, so which one do you want to find first? The mean, the median, or the mode?
The mode to see which one repeats.
Cool, so let's find the mode. All right. So does any of these number repeat? Oops, sorry about that. If you look at it, pretty much none of these number repeat.
Mm-hmm.
So since none of the number repeat, we say no mode. That's it for the mode. All right, so up next we're gonna do where you're gonna do the median or we're gonna do the mean. So let's do the mean. So for the mean, we're gonna do 25 plus 5 plus 18 plus 12 plus 16. All right, so we're gonna add up all these numbers and then we're gonna divide it by however many numbers we have. So if you look at how many numbers we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Cool. All right, so we have 16. So we're gonna add up all these numbers and then divide them by 16. So I'm gonna go over to Class Calc and I'm gonna get Class Calc to do that for me. All right. So anytime you have a fraction, I recommend you just hit division first. So we could do 25 plus 5 plus 18 plus 12 plus 60 plus 44 plus 24 plus 22 plus 2 plus 7 plus 15 plus 30 plus 58 plus 53 plus 36 plus 42. Cool. All right, so you add all of these numbers up, and then all you have to do is divide it by 16. So if you look at that, we get 28.875. So you get the mean is equal to 28.875. All right, and that's it for the mean. Any question on how to find the mean? All right. So up next, we're gonna go ahead and find the median. So this is probably gonna be annoying, but we're gonna find the median. So the first thing we wanna go ahead and do is organize the data set. So let's go ahead and organize it. So the first thing what we wanna do smallest to biggest. So the smallest I see is, here, let's do a different color. Let's do orange. So the smallest I see is 2. Then I think is 5. Then it should be 7. And then it should be 12. Then it should be 15. Then it should be 18. Then it should be, I think, 22. Then it should be 24. Then it should be 25. All right, and then it jump all the way to 36. And then we should have 39. And then we have 42. And then we have 44. And then we have 53, 58, and 60. All right, so remember, we start off with 16 numbers. So when we count it, it should be 16 numbers. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There we go. So up next, what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna go ahead and cross these out. So cross, 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 cross. If you look at this one, since you have an even amount of data set, you should kind of already know that there are gonna be 2 numbers in the middle. All right. So those are my 2 numbers in the middle. So in order to find the median, you add the 2 up and then divide it by 2. And just remember, it's always gonna be that you divide it by 2, because since there are 2 numbers in the middle, that's why you're dividing it by 2. So if you do 24 plus 25 divided by 2, you should get 24.5. All right. And that's it for your final answer for that question. Any question in regard to that problem? All right. So right now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna focus on the mode, but we're gonna focus on the mode for categorical data set. So if you remember categorical data set, or sorry, qualitative data set are your data set that we put into category. So for this one, it's not numerical. It's essentially data set that you could put into label or category. So right here, what we have, it says at a political debate, a sample of audience member was asked to name the political party to which they belong. The response are shown below on the table. So it says Democrat, Republican, other, or did not respond. So these are all qualitative data set because you could fall into one of these, and non-numerical because you can't really measure a Democrat. It's essentially either you're a Democrat, a Republican, or you're other, or you didn't respond. So for this question, all we want to do is find what is the mode of the response. So if I want to find the mode of the response, all I have to see is which of these 4 category or qualitative data set got the highest frequency. So which of these 4 category got the highest frequency?
Republican.
Yeah, Republican. So we'll say Mo is Republican. And we're done. Oops, forgot an L. All right, so if you do have qualitative data set, if you want to find the mode, you're essentially seeing which category occurred the most often. So since Republican has a frequency of 56, you would say Republican is the mode. So let's do this next one. So it says, in a survey of 240 US adults were asked if the United States would ever have a female president. Of those surveyed, 171 responded yes, 45 responded no, and 24 didn't know. What is the mode of the response? So for this one, what's my mode? So which response got the highest?
Yes.
So 171 responded yes.
Cool. So our mode is yes. And that's it for that problem. Any questions for that last problem?
What did you say?
Any questions?
I just took vitamins yesterday.
All right. So up next, we're gonna get into comparing. Let's mute off. All right. So up next, we're gonna be comparing the mean, medium, and mode. So you kind of want to know when to use the mean, when to use the medium, and when do you want to use the mode. So if you look at it, it says all 3 measures describe a typical entry of the data set. So all of them pretty much calculate the central tendency. So some advantage of using the mean is a reliable measure because it takes into account every entry of the data set. So that's one advantage for the mean, that we look at all of the data set. Like for the medium, it's kind of like we only look at the middle number. So we kind of disregard the lowest and the highest because you're only looking at the number in the middle. Some disadvantages of the mean is that the mean could get affected by outlier. So if we have very small number set and then you have one huge data set, that one huge data set, it's gonna highly influence the mean. So anytime you're looking at which of these 3 to use, you kind of have to go like, is there any outlier, you kind of want to go with the median because the median is not influenced by outlier. Okay, if you look at the median just pick the number in the middle. It doesn't care about the lowest or the highest number. So any outlier, like, it's not going to affect the median, but for the mean, it will affect the mean. All right, so let's go ahead. All right, so today we're going to go over shapes of the distribution. So for shape of the distribution, there are going to be technically 3 different shapes that we could have. So we could have a data set that is skewed to the left, symmetric, and skewed to the right. So depending on where our data set is at, that's how we're gonna know if it's skewed to the left, symmetric, or skewed to the right. So let's look at this first one over here. So if you look at this, pretty much the higher the hill is, that's telling me the more data set is in that area. The smaller it is or the lower it is, that's telling me we don't have that much data set there. So for this one, where do we have the lowest? Like where do we have the lowest amount of data? On the left side? So we'll say this is the left, in the middle, or on the right side?
Left.
Yeah. So since the left side has the lowest amount of data set, that's why we call this skew left. So if the left side has the lowest amount of data set, we say it's skewed to the left. All right, let's go over here. Where do we have the most amount of data set? Sorry about that. Do we have it on the left side, the middle, or on the right side?
In the middle.
In the middle. So anytime your majority of your data set is in the middle, we're gonna say our data set is symmetric. And that's why right here we have symmetric. Lastly, if you look at this one, where do we have most of the data set? On the left side, on the middle, or on the right side? Or sorry, where do we have the least amount of data set? Well, if you look at where do we have the least amount of data set, it should be on the right-hand side. So since we have the least amount of data set on the right-hand side, this is called skew to the right or skew right. So you kind of want to get accustomed to the distribution because we are going to be referring to them quite a bit. So if you have the least amount of data set on the left side, we say skew to the left. If the majority of the data set is in the middle, we say symmetric. And if we have the least amount of data set on the right-hand side, then we say skew to the right. All right. Everybody go with the distribution?
Yeah.
All right. So depending on the mean and the median, I could kind of tell if our data set should be skewed to the left, skewed to the right, or if it should be symmetric. So if our data set is skewed to the left, our mean is going to be smaller than the median. And the reason why the mean is going to be smaller than the median, in this case, we have outlier that are abnormally small. So since we have outliers that are abnormally small, it's essentially going to pull down the mean and going to make the mean smaller than what it actually is. So anytime your mean is smaller than your median, we're going to say our data set is skewed to the left. So let's go over to symmetric. So if our data set is symmetric, that means it's essentially balanced out. If our data set is balanced out, that means that the mean and the median should be either equal to each other or approximately equal to each other. So if the two numbers are pretty close to each other, so say the mean is 5.3, the median is 5.5. If you look at those two numbers, well, those two numbers are not exactly the same, but they're pretty similar to each other. So since they're pretty similar to each other, we will say that this data set is symmetric. And lastly, we have right skew. So for right skew, our mean has to be bigger than the median. So if our mean is 10, our median is 5. Since 10 is significantly bigger than 5, we're going to say that this is skewed to the right. So that's how I want you kind of to use this. If there's a significant difference between the mean and the median, it's either going to be skewed to the left and skewed to the right. And this just depends on which the two is bigger. But if the two mean and the median are pretty close to each other or identical to each other, you're going to say they're symmetric. All right. Any question in regard to that before we move on to an example? All right, let's do an example. All right, so for this one, it says account balance. For the month of May, a checking account had a balance of 759 for 15 days, 1,985 for 5 days, 1,410 for 5 days, and 348 for 6 days. What does the account mean and median daily balance for May? All right, so for this one, we're going to calculate the mean and the median. And once we find the mean and the median, what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to go ahead and compare them and see what type of distribution do we have. So for this one, if you look at it, it says 759, and we had it for 15 days. So that means 759 occurred 15 times. So for class, we're going to put 759. For frequency, we're going to put 15 days. All right. So up next, we have 1,985. So that occurred for 5 days. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to do 1,985. We're going to do that for 5 days. Then we have 1,410, and that occurred for 5 days. So we'll put 1,410, and that's 5 days. Lastly, we have 348, and that's 6 days. All right, so far, any question on the class or on the frequency? All right, sweet. So I'm gonna first show you how to find the mean on this, and then I'll show you how to find the frequency. Well, sorry, I'll show you how to find the median. So for this one, to find the mean, if you remember the mean, is that you add up all the numbers, and then you divide it by however many numbers we have. So in this one, the amount of number that we have is essentially the amount of days in May. So if I want to count how many total days are in May, I want to just add up this frequency. If you add that up, what do you get for your total frequency?
31.
31. Perfect. All right, so we get a total frequency of 31 days. So now we have 759. So 759 occur 15 times. So that means I have to do 759 plus 759 plus 59 plus 759. And we got to do that one more time. Plus 759. And what we have to do this 15 times. Because that's what the frequency is telling us. Because the frequency is telling us how many times is this number repeating. So since we have 759 and the frequency is telling us it repeats 15 times, that means I have to add this number 15 times by itself. But what's a shortcut way that we could do that?
You can multiply 759 by
There
15.
you go. So instead of doing all of that, what we could just go ahead and do, we could go ahead and just multiply them. So instead of doing 759 plus 759, we're going to just use multiplication, because multiplication is a shortcut way of how to do addition. So what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to multiply this out. So we're going to do 759 times 15. And that's going to give you 11,385. Then we're going to do 1,985 times 5. 1,985 multiplied by 5. And you get 9,925. Then you get 1,410. You're going to multiply that by 5 again. So you get 7,050. And lastly, we're going to do 348 times 6. and you get 2,080. Everybody good so far with those numbers? Or where do those numbers come from? All right. So last step we're gonna go ahead and do before we divide by 31. Now do it add all these numbers up. So I have to do 11,385 plus 9,925 plus 7,050 plus 2,080. So I'm gonna go ahead and just add all these numbers up.
348 times 6 is 2,088.
Oh, 2,088. Thank you. All right, so plus 9,925 plus 750 plus 188. All right, so if you look at that, you get 30,448. So that's if you add up all the number. Pretty much all of these blue numbers that I got, it add up to 30,448. So the last thing I want to do, divide this by 31. And you get your number to be 982 with 19 cents. So that's your average balance for the month of May. And this is our mean.
So do we have to put the X bar when we put the answer? No.
Yeah, for that one, yeah, you could put the X bar. All right, but that's it for that problem. So for the mean, whenever you have the class and the frequency, what you have to do, you have to multiply each class and frequency, then you add them all up, and then divide it by the total amount of frequency. All right, everybody good for the mean? Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this for the median, because now we have to do the median. All right. So remember, for the median, you always want to put them in order. So the first thing you have to go ahead and do is put the numbers in order, which I didn't do the first time around. Because look at, I put 759, then 1,985, then 1,410. So it's not in order. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in order. So the lowest number that we have for the month of May was 348. So you put 348, and that's a frequency of 6. All right. So the next one we have 759. So 759. And that'll be the frequency of 15. All right. Then if you look at it, we have 1,410. And that's gonna be 5. And lastly, we have 1,985. And that's going to be 5 also. So usually for the median, what we do, we pretty much put it from lowest to highest, and then we just get the number in the middle. But for this one, it's going to be a little bit more complicated because you have 31 data sets. So technically, if you wanted to, you could put like 348, 348, 340A, 340A, 340. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 348, 348. Then do 759. So you can list out all 31 of them, and then go ahead and you start looking for the median. But the thing is, that might take a little bit longer to do. But if you feel more comfortable doing it that way, go ahead and do it that way. I'm going to show you a shortcut way how to do it. So the way that the median will work is based off of the position that the number is in. So if you look at 348, since that's the first number, this is in the first position. If you look at 340A, this is in the second position. 340A, this is in the third position, fourth position, fifth position, sixth position. This is in the seventh position. So if you look at 340A, where do the positions start and where do they end?
It starts at 1 and ends at 6.
There you go. So we put position 1 through 6. So where does 759, where does that position start?
7.
7. And when would it end?
15.
What was that?
22.
22.
22.
22. How do we get 22?
Add
You can just add the 15.
Yeah, so you get the 15 with the frequency and you add it to whatever the first position is. So since you're going to start off at 7 position, you do 7 plus the 15 and you get 22. All right. So what about the 1,410? What position is that one going to start off at?
23.
23. Okay, if you look at it, this is 22, so the next one has to be 23. And for that one, when is it gonna end?
28.
Yeah, 28. Okay, if you do 5 plus the 23, you get the 28. All right, lastly, we're gonna do 1985. So for 1985, what position does it start off at?
29.
Yeah, 29. And when does it end?
34.
34.
Yeah, 34. Cool. All right, so we got our position. All right, everybody good with those positions? All right, so let's go ahead and do this. So the way that we're gonna find the median, we're gonna use this formula. So this is the formula to find the position of the median, position of the median. So we're gonna use n plus 1 divided by 2. So n plus 1 divided by 2. So for this one, n is our amount of frequency. So what's our frequency?
31.
Yeah, 31. So you go 31 plus 1 over 2. So if I do 31 plus 1, that's 32. Divided by 2. So 32 divided by 2 give me 16. So this is telling me in the 16th position, we're going to find our median. So if I'm looking at these over here, which of these 4 positions has 16?
759.
750.
So we'll say 759 is our median. All right. And that's how you find the median using this. Any question on how to find the median with this? Okay, so for the last thing that we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna now use this table and we're gonna see what type of distribution do we have. It is skewed to the left, it is symmetric, or it is skewed to the right. So if you look at it, they always put the mean on the left side and they put the median on the right side. So that's what I'm gonna do. Just for that way it could be consistent. So mean, median. So we have the mean, which is 982 and 19. And we have the median, which is 759. So which of the two, like first, is there a significant difference between the mean and the median?
Yes.
Yes, so since there is a significant difference between the mean and the median, we're gonna say which of the two is bigger. So which one's bigger, the mean or the median?
The mean.
Yeah, the mean. So going back to this, when the mean is bigger than the median, we say it's gonna be skew right. So we're gonna say skew right. And we're done. All right. Any question on how we got skew right? All right. So let's go ahead and do this next problem. All right, and then we're done. All right, so for this one said, I looked at my rating on ratemyprofessor.com and created a table below showing my rating from 1 to 5. What is the mean and what is the median rating? All right, cool. So right here, we have a rating of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have the frequency, which just say how many people gave me that rating. So what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna go ahead and find the mean of this data set and we're gonna find the median of this data set. So which one do you wanna find first, the mean or the median?
The mean.
All right, let's do the mean. So first thing what we wanna do, we wanna find, okay, let's do a different color. We wanna do total frequency. So to find total frequency, we add all of these up. If you add all of those numbers up, what do we get for our total frequency?
23.
23.
Yeah, 23, good. So now what I wanna do, I wanna just multiply these numbers. So I wanna get the class multiplied by the frequency, so on and so forth. So if I do multiply this out, I get 1, 2, 0, 20. Let's just get a calculator for that.
80.
80.
All right. So we got 1, 2, 0, 20, and 80. So if I want to find the mean, all you have to do, add all of those up. If you add all of those up, what do you get?
103.
103, and you divide it by 23. They say 103 divided by 23. Okay. So we get the mean is equal to 4.48. Great. All right, and that's my mean rating on ratemyprofessor.com. Everybody good how we found the mean?
Yes.
All right, everybody's good. So let's go ahead and let's do the position. I'll do over here on the left-hand side. All right, so what position is 1 in? So if you look at the position for 1, it's pretty much just 1. So, and since the frequency is 1, it just means you go from 1 to 1, so it doesn't go anywhere. What about for 2? What should I put the position is for 2?
Just 2.
2.
2, perfect. Yeah, because since the frequency is 1, it's not an interval, it's essentially just a single number. All right, and if you look at 3, 3 essentially is 0, so this one would just be, oh, you can just exclude it because it's not even a part of it because there's no number there. So now we have 4. So 4, what will be the starting position for 4?
3.
Yeah, so it should be at 3. And for this one, if you look at it, it should go all the way up to 7. Everybody good on 3 to 7? All right, lastly, we're gonna do 5. So if you look at 5, 5, the starting position for that one should be at 8. And you're gonna go all the way up, since it has a frequency of 16, it's gonna go all the way up to 23. So those are my positions. So up next, what we're gonna go ahead and do, we're gonna use the formula to find what position is the median. And then depending on where does the position land, I'm either gonna say our median is 1, 2, 4, or 5. The median can't be 3 because 3 doesn't have any numbers. All right, everybody good what we're gonna do right now?
Isn't the position 24?
Oh, no. So what happened? On the last one, I did it wrong. Actually, what you want to do, you do 7 and you add the 16. So for this one, I messed up big time. Like this one should have been 21. This one should be 21 to 26. This one should be 27 all the way to 31. Yeah, because if you look at it, it said we have a total amount of frequency of 31, so you should have ended at 31. So I messed up on that one. So what you do, you get this number right here, and you just add the frequency, and that's how you get to 21. Yeah. So let's go back to this one. All right. So up next, I'm gonna go ahead and find the position of where the median should be. So we're gonna do n plus 1 divided by 2. N in this case is 23 plus 1 divided by 2. So if I do 23 plus 1, that's 24 divided by 2, which is 12. So I want to see where did the 12th position land on. So where did the 12th position land on?
The 5th class?
Yeah. So right here. So if you look at it, I have the mean, which is equal to 5. Oh, sorry. Which is equal to 4.48. But I have the median, which is equal to 5. So if you look at both of those numbers, do we have like a huge difference between those two numbers?
No.
No.
No. So for this one, we'll say they're approximate, and we'll say it's symmetric. And we're done. And we're done with today's lecture. Any question on today's lecture? All right, so I'm gonna do one last thing, and then I'll let you get started with the activity. So the last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how to find the mean using ClassCalc. I'm gonna show you two different ways, and that way you can kind of decide which way do you want to do it. So right now I'm gonna do the mean. I'm gonna do the mean of this data set. I'm gonna use class Cal. So we go right here to graphing calculator. Let's erase this. All right, so in class Cal, what you want to do, you want to hit the stats button. So you hit stats, and for this one, you're going to do basic. If you look right here, it says mean, medium, and mode. So if I want to do the mean, you press mean, and then what you want to do is enter the number. So you do 872, comma, 432, comma, 397, comma, 427, comma, 388, comma, 782, comma, 397, and then close it. And that's how you find the mean.
Question, how do you find the mean again, like on the calculator?
Okay, here I will show you again. So you want to hit the stats button, and then you want to hit basic, and under basic, it should be right below where it says the mean.
Okay, got it, thank you.
Okay. All right, so then what we could do stats, and say now I want to find the median, I can press the median. But the thing is, if you look at it, now I have to enter these number again. So if you don't want to enter the number like over and over again, what I recommend you to do is set pretty much do a set number. So I'm gonna say A is equal to, and then I'm gonna put a set amount of numbers. So I'm gonna do 827, comma, or you know what? Here, we'll do something simple. If you are on the calculator, you should see how it says add. So you press add, and then you press add a list. Oh no, sorry, don't do that. Go to add, and then you put add a table. And then this will be your table. So you could put 872, 432, 397, 427, 388, 782, and 397. So far, any question on how I got this table? All right, no question. So the good thing, once you have this table, I don't have to re-enter this data set anymore. So I could just take away all of this. And instead of entering the number, all I have to do is just enter where the list is. So if you look right here, it says X1. So I can put X1. Why is it not working? Here, let's see. So let's do stats. Let's do mean. Let's do X1. So X. Huh, it does not like that. Okay, let's try something else. Sorry about that. So let's do the original. So we could just say A equal, and then you put a bracket. So we say 872, comma, 432, comma, 397, comma, 427, comma, 388, comma, 782, comma, and then 397. And then you're done. So this data set will be referred to as A. So now if I want to go to stats and do a mean, all I have to do is press A, and it will give me the mean of A. If I want to find the median of A, you put median of A, and it'll give me the median of 427. If I want to do the mode of A, it'll give me the mode of this data set. So it's much easier if you just know how to create the list. So if you're doing this on the web or on the browser, it's much easier because all you have to do is press A equal to, and then you put whatever you want it to equal to. And then anytime you want to refer back to that list, you just use A, and it'll give you the mean of A, the median of A, and the mode of A. And that's it. Any question on how to find the mean, median, or mode using ClassCalc? All right, cool. So now question. All right, so I think there's a question about homework. So problem number 4 and problem number 5. So let me go over that. And I think that should be pretty much it for today. And also don't forget that today you do have a SI session at 1 to 2 p.m. with Erica. So don't forget to attend that, because remember, pretty much that, the way you're getting graded is just for attendance. So if you miss a day.
What's it called? Hey, bro. I look, I can't make it that class today because I got work. I don't know what to do.
Well, that's fine. Like, as long as you're not constantly missing it, it should be, but if it's just one day out of like the pretty much one day out of like the so many that we have planned for you, it should be fine.
All right.
Just don't make it like a habit. All right. So I think for the homework, it was problem number 4 and 5. Number 4. Well, this is the question that you have for homework?
No, it was asking, it was for the other one, for yesterday's homework.
Okay.
For
organizing, so chapter 2. And also for today's homework, you could start doing measure of center. So you could technically already start doing measure of center because that's what we did today. All right, so question number 4. Cool.
Yeah, it was that one. I didn't understand that one.
All right. So for this one, like the one thing you have to realize, so you see how right here it says n is equal to 20? So what they're doing here, every time you have one of these yellow dots, it's adding the 2 previous to it. So it goes 1 plus 1, and it gets the 2. So right here you have 2, and then to jump over here, it's essentially it's a cumulative 1. So pretty much for this one, when it says how many measurements take in the time frame were less than 45. So if you look right here, here go 45. So you want this dot over here. I can't really highlight it. But you want this dot right here that's less than 45. So if you look at this dot right here, the frequency for that dot is 10. So right here, you just want to put 10. So this is not like a histogram where you look at 45 and everything less than 45 and you add all of these dots. These dots are actually, they're adding them for you. So you only have to use the closest dot that's next to it. So for this one, the closest dot will be the dot that's a frequency of 10. So for this one, the answer should be 10.
Oh, okay.
Cool. All right. And then you said number 5.
It was similar to the same one.
Yeah, so for this one, 50 to 55, so 50. Yeah, so if you look at it, you want to use this dot, the dot that's on, what is it, 18? Because if you look at it from 50 to 55, this has a parenthesis, so that means we don't use 55. So 55, we don't use it, we use 50. So you just want to use the one that says frequency of 18. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right, so how do I go back?
Can you enter it? Because I think I did the same thing and it didn't work.
I got 4 and it said it was right, but I don't know how it was 4.
I think for that one I had got 2 or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, me too. I ended up getting 2.
So if you put 2 and try it.
So for this one, it says how many measurements taken in the time frame were within 50 to 55. So you have to look from this one, from the you see how the 18, and then you see how this other one is at, what is that, 13? So from 13 to 18, you have to do the difference. So 13 to 18, so this is different 5, so you do that. So, because it said how many measurements taken in the time frame were within 50 to 55. So you have to look at from 50 to 55, how much did it increase from the last dot? So pretty much you're just asking like how much did it increase by? So you just have to say, so since the last dot was at 13 frequency and this one is at 18 frequency, you say the increase from, it increased by 5. All right, and that's the homework. All right, so for the activity, you can start doing the activity for today. I'll post a solution for the activity so that we can kind of double check your activity. Because unfortunately for like today, we don't have that much time to do activity. And unfortunately, like going forward, that's kind of how it's gonna be because there's a lot more material. So just kind of remember, try doing activity number 3 today. And I'll post up the solution for activity number 3, but also more importantly, remember there's a quiz today. So you're gonna have quiz number 2, which you just go right here where it says quizzes. And you go to quiz number 2. And remember, this is gonna cover the material that we went over yesterday. So do the quiz. And for this one, it's gonna open up at 11:30. And it's gonna close at 10 p.m. So from 11:30 to 10 p.m. You're gonna be able to do that quiz right now. So in a minute or so, you should have access to it. All right, but that's it for today. Any question on anything?
No, thank you.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close up this session and then I'm gonna open up the session for office hour. So if you do have any question about anything I might have not gone over, you can go to my office hour and I'll be there from 11:30 all the way to 12, okay? So that's it for today. Have a good weekend, have a good 4th of July, and do that quiz before 10 p.m. today.
Do we have class tomorrow?
No, no class tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so the quiz is open at 11:30 a.m. and it closes at 10 p.m.